Hey guys, it's M4J here and welcome back to the Somerset Hills Railway here on Train Simulator 2018, I think it is at the moment. It should be 2019 in the very near future. Today we are expanding on what we've been doing for the last few episodes, or the last couple of episodes. This should be episode 3 if I've done my maths correctly. Originally I was going to create the scenery between Wenwick Colliery and Wenwick Town. But I knew that I wanted to come over here first and actually fix the bridge at Wenwick Town. I think I'll be fixing it a little bit more in the future as well, because I do believe there are some better bridge designs than the one that I've currently used, particularly as the viaduct arches are slightly offset and it does look a little bit weird and unusual. I can't remember why the screen went black here. I think there was some kind of technical issue, but we are back. That's good. I say it would be a bit weird if I did a 2-hour stream to a black screen, although it is still doing it. I think I actually had to restart the game if I remember rightly in order to get it to work properly. Something went wrong, I do remember that. But yeah, I was fixing the bridge and then I thought actually it would make more sense if I actually focused on Wenwick Town tonight in this particular video, and then next stream, which I will actually be streaming whilst you're watching this, will fix the scenery between Wenwick Town and Wenwick Colliery. So in other words, transitioning nicely from the townscape that we've got here to the more wooded, hilly, mountainous type area that is over by the colliery station. At this point I'm trying to choose a station building. I'm also trying to put a signal box in, I believe, to control the two junctions to the north and the south of Wenwick Town Station. Overall, I'm very happy with the result. I think I said it about 7 times on the stream. That's how happy I was. It looks the part. That's the thing. It does look the part. Even the station building here, which as you can see is being built into the viaduct itself, it's quite an unusual design in that respect. And I think I just placed a big concrete slab behind the station building, and that's where the staircase goes. But yeah, I mean overall, I say I'm quite happy with it because it does still look realistic. It's a bit ridiculous, but it does look realistic. So yeah, this video or this series will now start following the convention for time-lapse series that I have built on the channel, which is there will be 20 minutes roughly of a video in total, about 5 to 10 minutes of me talking, and then the rest of the video will be the music. The music seems to be very popular on the channel at the moment, so I'm very happy to continue doing that for people. But yeah, I'm going to continue talking about what this episode ends up looking like. So at this point, I do end up settling on building the station building into the viaduct underneath. But because I couldn't find a building that I felt was suitable enough, I did at this stage consider moving the station building up to the top of the hill next to the track and having a footbridge built into the station building, which would then carry you over to the track onto the platform. This is the most modern station on the route for that reason. It's built in the middle of a town. Most heritage railways, their stations are sort of near villages or areas of natural beauty. They're not really built smack bang in the middle of a town. There are exceptions. Swanage on the Swanage Railway is built relatively close to the centre of the town. I think it's quite close to the seafront as well, so that's quite popular. Same with Minehead. Minehead only has one railway station, and it is the West Somerset Railway station, and it's built right in the centre of the town, right on the beachfront promenade. It's actually a very nice location for a Heritage Line station. You walk along the sea, you see the nice views there, and then you turn to your right or your left, depending on which direction you're coming from, and there's a steam engine sat about 50 feet away from where you're standing. I think that's pretty cool. You do then have stations like Leicester North on the Great Central Railway. I'm trying to think of others that I have been to. There is one more, and I'm struggling to think what it is. I suppose the Nene Valley has its Peterborough Nene Valley station right outside the city centre. I think it is like a 15-minute walk to the city centre, but it's close enough that it should be considered part of it. So yeah, to have this station built in the middle of the town is not unusual, but to have it built on a viaduct in the middle of the town is quite unusual. Most modern stations that are built on viaducts I mean, the one that immediately springs to mind is Blackfriars in London. That's built on the new Blackfriars Railway Bridge, and you know, that is very, very modern. It's got solar panels on the roof. It's been extended recently across the river, whereas before it was only on the north side of the river. Now it's on both sides of the river, and because it's part of the core of Thameslink, there are going to be in the future 24 trains an hour passing through that station. So it's been built to the most modern specifications. And then you've got Wenwick Town here, which in theory would have been upgraded to a modern style station were it to have remained open, and were the Somerset Hills Railway to have remained open. But because both did close and then were reopened as the Heritage Railway not long afterwards, it's unusual in that it's a modern style station. It's been upgraded to slightly modern standards. The underpass has replaced the original version, for example. There's a bus stop and a car park right outside the station now, whereas previously there wasn't. And also the bridge itself would have been restored slightly as well. And then you compare that to the fact that it is a heritage railway, so that it's only steam and heritage diesel that will be using the bridge. It's quite an unusual combination, but I imagine it's one that it is an anachronism, but I think it will work as an anachronism. So I am looking forward to a stage where I can start running trains across the bridge. I think it'll look quite cool. My original concern was the bridge was too high. I think at some point here I do lift up. I might have already done so actually. Might have lifted up the land in order to make the bridge appear slightly shorter than it actually is. At this stage I'm laying out a random road network around Wenwick Town Centre. The station I think would be built slightly to the west of the town centre, judging by how I have built it. I haven't built anything necessarily like a high street yet. This is mainly residential, this area. There's going to be a pub on the corner. I think there's a pub directly opposite the station building, if I remember correctly. And there's a couple of tower blocks. There's a couple of new builds, like the flat block of flats that I'm putting down now. There are some office blocks that I build to the immediate east of the station as well. And it is a general mismatch of buildings. A lot of towns near where I live, particularly, I mean, St Albans isn't a town, it's a city. I was there for my graduation this Monday. And there are lots of buildings that have existed since Roman and Norman. Hang on, let me get the order right. Roman, Celtic? I suppose Celtic kind of came next. But sort of around that era, I can't speak. 2,000 years ago, some of these buildings were constructed. And then you sort of walk down a street that's all Roman town, and then you walk around a corner and there's a brand new shopping centre that's sort of been threaded between all of these old buildings. So it is, like I said, a real anachronism of buildings, and I wanted to recreate that here. So you've got a heritage railway running through the middle of a relatively modern town that happened to have been built, you know, 1,000 years ago. That's the kind of vibe that I wanted to go for. So we have got some Tudor style buildings. In fact, the pub that I placed down just now is a Tudor style building. We've also got some more modern blocks of flats where you can imagine it was either an empty lot or there was some old houses there that were knocked down and rebuilt as flats in order to provide more housing for modern day society. That's the kind of thing that I was aiming for. You know, town building and town planning. I tried it on City Skylines. I wasn't particularly great at it. I just wanted to build transport networks. But I do sort of know my stuff a little bit. Like if I go on Planet Coaster and try and build a building in the Tudor style, I wouldn't be able to do it. But I know a Tudor building when I see one. It's that kind of thing. So yeah, running steam trains across this bridge is going to be a pioneering moment, I would say, as it means that the anachronism is complete. You know, we have a town in 2018 where you'd expect a DMU or an EMU to run across the top, and instead you get a classic steam train. You know, 7-8 carriages, tender locomotive on the front. It'll be fun. It'd be fun. I'd be very proud to actually sit and watch it as well. Right, this is me placing down some slabs for a car park outside the station. This is one of my first bugbears that I wanted to talk about in this episode, actually. When you place down an asset, I figured that when you copied and pasted the Z value, I think it is, or the Y value, the up and down value, I figured that there was a universal scale, so one would always be in the same place no matter what the land level is. Turns out that's not the case. It's relative to the land. So you see I had to flatten the land a little bit more there and then go through and make sure that these were all the same height. Again, that's slightly realistic. If you go to some modern car parks that are built just as big concrete slabs that are placed next to each other, there are there are points where there's like an inch or two difference in the height level between the two slabs. If you drive along the M25, particularly in the southeast corner of London, sort of around that period, again, I'm saying period again, I'm not talking about time, I'm talking about location, sort of around that place, you will see that the road itself, it goes from smooth tarmac to this really weird concrete type block slab type thing. Apparently it's because not long after they opened the motorway, these sinkholes opened up and the carriageways fell into these sinkholes, so they replaced them with these concrete blocks that actually span the sinkholes, something like that. I wasn't alive when it happened, so I'm going off what I've been told. So yeah, again, it's not pretty. It's a big concrete slab, this car park, and I had to put some buildings on the fence corners here to disguise the fact that I didn't line them up particularly well. I wish it was possible, once you've placed a spline, like a track or a fence in this case, or a road, I wish it was possible just to grab one end and move it left to right like a snake kind of thing, so you can still bend the road without affecting the rest of that particular spline. It doesn't seem to be the case. I haven't found a way of doing it anyway. There might be a way. If you do know, let me know in the comments, because that would be hugely helpful in future projects. But at the moment, I couldn't find a way of doing it. So you can see here the two fences just crisscross. I could have maybe cut them a little bit better, like gone back and used the split tool. But I think at this point in time, when I was doing this stream, I wasn't absolutely tired. But I think I'd had a long day or something. I can't remember exactly why. So I was sort of just putting things down and saying, how does this look? And then the people that were in the chat were sort of saying, yeah, it looks good, looks bad, I'd move it here, that kind of thing. So they really, I mean, most people will probably think, oh, he's building this on his own. But I would argue there's a team of us that are building this. Okay, I'm the one placing the assets and, has the save file and things like that. But there are a couple of people that I always ask for feedback for when I'm placing down these towns, woods, hills, whatever it might be. So I'd say there's a team of us working together to actually get this project done. This is where I'm placing houses. And again, I placed down some random houses and sort of take a look back and say, how does this look? And then we went through and replaced them. There we go. This is us replacing them, mainly with more terraced style houses, which I felt were more realistic. I do feel actually at the end of this stream and the end of this video that some of the houses are perhaps a little too close to the road, particularly on this section here. There are places, particularly in North London in fact, where it's a main dual carriageway and there are houses. There's like a 2-meter wide footpath, if that, and then straight away there's some houses. So it's not, again, it's not unrealistic. It's just, do I want Wenwick to be that kind of town, or do I want it to be more like a garden village? Welwyn Garden City, near where I live. They really, it was Ebenezer Howard back in the 20s. He pioneered these big open green spaces. So there's a street in Welwyn Garden City called Parkway, which it's about a mile long, give or take. And there's a bit where the carriageway splits, and there's this huge open green space between the two directions of road travel. And there's a fountain in the middle. There's lots of trees. It's like a parkland essentially. I kind of prefer that style of town building, so I might go back off camera perhaps, or maybe even in the next couple of weeks, and actually fix Wenwick to be more like maybe call it Wenwick Garden City rather than anything else, and then just keep the Wenwick Town station name. Something I found out actually, I always knew that the Great Western Railway had station names with town in the name. Kidderminster Town on the Severn Valley Railway is a very good example of that. I think originally there was only one Kidderminster station, which is the one that West Midlands Railway, I think it is, West Midlands Railway use. The reason Kidderminster Town is called Kidderminster Town is because the Great Western Railway had a habit of, if their station was slightly closer to the town centre than their competitors, they would put town in the name, so that people would think, oh, if I go to that one, I'll be in the town, whereas if I go to the other one, I won't be in the town. There is, I think, a 50-foot difference in the distance between the stations and the town centre. So Kidderminster Town is technically closer to the town centre, but only by about 50 feet. But, you know, I suppose you could call it dirty tactics by the Great Western, but they technically weren't lying. So I feel like that's the case here with Wenwick as well. Say in the past there was another station at Wenwick. There might even be another station in Wenwick. I haven't decided yet. So Wenwick Town would have been realistically named because it would have been closer to the town centre. In fact, the town centre is what I'm starting to build here. I'm placing down the church, which explains why the road does that weird shape, because I then fitted the church into that weird shape. And then we start placing down some flats and office buildings. Right, I think I'm pretty much done with talking for this episode. There's a lot that I probably should have said, which I haven't done. Like I said, I'm not really an architect, and I don't know that much about architecture. So I will stress that I'm mixing up the architecture styles. So don't comment saying, oh, you've put a Tudor building next to a modern skyscraper, because that was kind of the point. Like I said, if you go to any modern town, you will see an old building right next to a new building. It's just, you know, that's how things have happened. Particularly if you go in London, you will see that there are streets where there's a lot of like 1930s, 1920s built houses, and then there's like a 1990s, let's say, built house, or 1960s would be more realistic actually. A 1960s built house in the middle of a street full of 1930s built houses. And then if you go to the next street over, you will also see one in pretty much the same spot, and so on and so on. And that's where the bombs fell. So you can actually trace the path of where bombers flew and where the bombs dropped and exploded by the architecture styles. Wenwick won't have that. I wouldn't say Wenwick would have been a target. It would have been a small village back in the 40s. Certainly not to the scale that it is now. Maybe it would have been a small town, but there's no strategic importance to it, so it wouldn't have been targeted. But yeah, I'm going to stop talking now. This is me testing out some scenarios. I think I drive a train to and from at some point as well, so I look forward to seeing that. The music will take over very, very shortly, and I will see you guys in the next episode. If you are watching this at the time it's uploaded, I am currently streaming the next episode, so feel free to go and check that out. Come into the chat, say hi, follow if you haven't done so already, subscribe on YouTube as well, of course. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you enjoyed the series. Drop some comments down below if you see anything that you think I need to change, or if there's stuff that you would like to see me add that I haven't done so already. Besides that, like I said, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support. Don't forget to check out the upload schedule and the stream schedules at m4jmedia.com. Subscribe to them both so you never miss an upload and you never miss a stream. And if you are going to join us in the Twitch chat tonight, then thank you very much for doing so. Don't forget to hit the follow button, and I look forward to talking to you there. Thank you very much once again for watching, and until next time, I will see you soon.